says you're faltering. Businesses say you've robbed them of certainty, and one of your former cabinet colleagues suggests that this risks putting you on the wrong side of history. Is this all because you're panicking about losing the election?
I've been thinking about these issues for a long time, and as Chancellor, I was concerned about the impact on families of some of the policies that were being mooted. When you think about it, as I mentioned, policies that would cost a typical family around the country £5, £10, £15,000, and we seem to be on autopilot to just adopt these things. I didn't think that was right at the time, and now as Prime Minister, I've got an opportunity to change things. And what I don't want to do is make yet more short-term decisions, easy ways out that ultimately not be straight with the country about what those mean for them, the costs that those are imposing on them. I don't believe that's the right thing to do. I want to make the right decisions for the long term of our children, of our country, and that won't be easy. And as you can see, there's lots of resistance to what I'm saying today. But what I'm trying to do is make sure that we're on a path to deliver net zero, because I firmly believe in it, but we're going to do that in a fair, in a proportionate way that brings people along with us and minimises the burdens on families. Now, I think that's an incredibly reasonable and realistic approach. In fact, I think it's the only approach that's going to actually get us to net zero and carry the country with us. So look, lots of people are going to have their views, and I respect their right to disagree with me, but ultimately it's incumbent on them to then explain to families up and down the country why, if they disagree with me, they're willing to impose those costs, £10,000, £15,000 on those families in pursuit of something when it's not necessary, when we can meet our carbon targets without it, when we remain a world leader. Right? That's a question for them, because I think my approach is the right one. Next, can we go to ITV?
Prime Minister, you know probably better than anyone that we've had years of underinvestment caused by economic instability, which has in turn led to low growth. When you became Prime Minister, you pledged to restore stability. By delaying the targets for motor vehicle replacement, boiler replacement, many big businesses that want to invest in this country say you've pulled the rug from under them and you've increased instability. The reverse of what you wanted to do, you said.
The best thing I can do for business is ensure that we actually continue to deliver net zero because it has the consent of the British public. And as you can see in other countries around the world, when people have tried to go too fast, haven't had an open and honest conversation with the country, they've ultimately had to change course. That's not the right thing to do. And that's what we're doing today. We're putting in place the right policies that will ensure that we get to net zero, bring people along with us, and that's what ultimately will give businesses the certainty that they need to invest. You mentioned a couple of specific things, the time frame for transitioning electric vehicles. As I pointed out, 2035, that's the same target as that in France, Germany, Italy, Spain, Canada, Australia, California, I can go on. That is the global mainstream target. In an industry that is global in nature with imports and exports that we are integrated into, it's hard for anyone to say that that is somehow putting us at a disadvantage. I also think what the auto industry wants us to deliver, which we will now be able to, is our mandate to get from here to there. Because as I said, this is about 2035 is one aspect of it, but between now and then, we are going to make progress in transitioning to electric vehicles. And we're working with industry, put in place the pathway to get there that they are incredibly supportive of. The other thing I would say to industry is we're doubling down on the other things that they want from us, and that's grid infrastructure. If I speak to any business today that is interested in this space, and my cabinet colleagues over there will be nodding, right? If you speak to Mark, speak to Kemi, speak to Claire, what does every business ask them about? How do we connect to the grid faster? We want to decarbonise, we want to grow, but if it's going to take us years to connect, that's not going to work. We're not going to get to energy security or net zero that way.